Special Counsel Jack Smith is the greatest threat to the Constitution in recent history. I'll explain why. This is going to be a giant rant, so buckle up. Welcome to Doug in Exile. I'm Doug TeNapel. This is where the happy patriots are. We still don't lose hope, even though scumbags like Jack Smith are trying to destroy the country. This just happened. CNN reports special counsel goes directly to Supreme Court to resolve whether Trump has immunity from prosecution. Here's the Washington Post: Supreme Court to consider Trump's immunity claims after Jack Smith's request. And then we're going to go straight to Jonathan Turley on Twitter, who's one of my favorite thinkers. Special counsel Jack Smith is now seeking to leapfrog the appellate court in DC and ask for a ruling from the Supreme Court on Trump's immunity claims. The only reason for this petition is to seek a guarantee of trial of Trump and possible conviction before the election. Remember, I've said from the beginning, the timing is everything on this. They are only trying to affect an election. The matter is currently before the DC Circuit, which is viewed as a favorable court for Smith. So he should want that, right? But that won't give him the timing he wants, because he fears missing that March date, which puts it right before Super Tuesday to vote for Trump. However, Smith is trying to avoid any delay in the March trial date, set to begin the day before Super Tuesday. The Supreme Court may not view a trial of Trump during the campaign to be as motivating or urgent as does Smith. Why does Smith think it's so urgent? This is a novel legal argument. Novel doesn't mean good, guys. It means they're getting creative with the living, breathing Constitution. They're inventing laws. This is always bad. Liberals always do this. This is a novel legal argument that the court would ordinarily prefer to hear the views from the appellate judges, that is the appellate court that they're applying to in DC. Jack Smith is trying to skip that, even though that court is obviously loaded with a bunch of Democrats that would rule in his favor. But it would take too long, because this is about the timing. This is Jack Smith is willing to twist the Constitution beyond recognition to affect the election in 2024. Remember, Trump wants to delay it beyond the 24 election. Jack Smith and the 4 lawsuits are trying to do it way before to affect Trump's running or put him in jail. Just to get us up to date, Trump is already getting nailed on 4 bogus lawsuits by the Department of Justice. And so far, Trump is barely surviving any of these motions against him, right? In general, they're trying to set it up so that he loses. These are all Democrat courts making Democrat appointees making these decisions, from Fani Willis, Jack Smith, Chutkan. He gets a few little victories on his free speech, but so far they're trying to set him up to fail. This whole thing makes Chutkan and Jack Smith a liar. Jack Smith appointed by Merrick Garland, Chutkan appointed by Obama. They swore back in August, when all this stuff first started, this is after Trump announced that he was going to run for office, they said he would be treated like any other citizen. And they said that no one was above the law. Remember that? So no other citizen would be able to jump an appellate court like this. I think it's probably happened maybe 24 times in the Supreme Court's entire history. So they're already, just in doing this, they're treating Trump like no one else. Okay, so remember, this is all based on Trump's appeal to Chutkan, saying he had presidential immunity. And that's what was going up to the DC appellate court. Has jumped the appellate court in DC on Trump's appeal and gone straight to the Supreme Court with an attempt to legitimize his claim. It's already illegitimate, but if he can get the Supreme Court to hear it, then it legitimizes this fake. This is a non-charge. So it's already considered a bit of a weakness, just that the Supreme Court would look at this. That's with a qualifier. I'll get to that in a minute. But right now, the Supreme Court split. The weak ones are John Roberts, Kavanaugh, and Amy Coney Barrett of the Republican side. Remember when, I don't know if it was Sidney Powell, who during the original 2020 election results question, they tried to take Pennsylvania up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court wouldn't even get this far. It was Alito, Clarence Thomas, and Gorsuch that were open to hearing it. And it was Kavanaugh. They needed a fourth to be able to hear it. That is, that if they got Kavanaugh, or if they got Amy Coney Barrett, or if they got Roberts, they would have heard it. But none of those three would stand up. So they're already a little squishy and weak. Okay, now comes the legalese. So this is Jack Smith's petition for writ of cert. So he sends it up to the Supreme Court, writ of cert. Doesn't mean anything but, hey, will you consider this? The Supreme Court didn't say they would take the case yet, which if they do take it, I believe they'll rule against Trump. There's no other reason for them to take it. And so all the Supreme Court said was the Trump defense has to respond to Jack Smith. That's all they've said. Okay, but they did it in a couple of hours, so they've already sped it up for Jack Smith. Remember, on the Pennsylvania voting issue, they wouldn't even go that far, so they've already gone farther with Jack Smith than they would over Pennsylvania. So far, the Supreme Court is demanding Donald Trump respond by next week, which is very fast. This sets a terrible precedent with the president. That's why I think they shouldn't have even gone this far. They should have just told Jack Smith, no, what are you doing? You're inventing something here. And that's exactly what he's doing. He's inventing a new precedent. They should have pushed it back, because if this works, the presidency will forever be changed, because it means after you're out of office, the next president can appoint an attorney general to prosecute the last president. And suddenly all of your presidents going forward will be chicken, cowardly, terrified. It will greatly politicize the presidency and greatly corrupt our legal system. That's where we're at. I'm sorry for how long this rant went on, and I'm sorry for the technical issues, but I just want you to see, you're going to see in the news all day that it went up to the Supreme Court, and you think, oh, Supreme Court, that'll be easy. Let's hope that when Trump responds next week, the Supreme Court says no. If they say yes, it does not look good for Trump. That's my prediction. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you'll subscribe. You guys are doing great at subscribing already, by the way, and doing great in the comments. You're blowing our numbers up. So thank you so much for being a participant in the culture of this channel. I'll keep bringing you the news to defend this republic. I'm Doug in Exile.